Hey guys, I'm Mr. Genie, hey Mustache Tom, and I'm here to review 2021's Mortal Kombat. If you end up enjoying this review, then please consider joining my Patreon page. There'll be the second link in the description below, and I'll remind you at the end of the review as well. So, with the shilling out of the way, let's talk about Mortal Kombat, the 2021 remake. But before that, I suppose I should briefly discuss what I thought about the original Mortal Kombat, what I think about the games, what I think about the second one, and what I think about Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge, which I do have a review for that one. So first, the original Mortal Kombat. A lot of people really seem to enjoy that one. Some of its hokiness has definitely been brought to light as the years have gone by. You know how some of it doesn't feel right, or some of the pacing is it maybe struggles a little bit, things of that nature. And I tend to be in that camp of people who still appreciate that movie, but I definitely have recognized more of its flaws as time went on. And of course, the sequel that fell apart way more. And, of course, as I mentioned, Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. If you have not seen Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. If you are a fan of Mortal Kombat, even if you aren't a fan of Mortal Kombat, and if you're interested in getting into it via movie format, I would actually recommend Scorpion's Revenge over this and the original Mortal Kombat. I think it's the best, one of the best video game movies out there. But that's, you know, a lot of people say all video game movies are bad, and I'm like, there's a lot of animated video game movies, guys. You gotta stop saying that. All the animated Resident Evil movies, the animated Scorpion's Revenge, the animated Bayonetta movie. So I think when people say all video game movies are bad, they are referring to the live action movies. But then you have, of course, like I said, Mortal Kombat with the original, and that one is, again, still enjoyed, even though it's a bit hokey at certain points. And then you have the now 2021 version of Mortal Kombat. So, with the introduction of what I thought about the other movies out of the way, let's talk about Mortal Kombat. This will have all the recap stuff, so all the spoilers will be in this section, if you will. So the movie starts off with Hanzo, aka, as we'll later know him as, Scorpion, and he has a family, of course. He has a son, a wife, and a daughter, a younger daughter in this version. And as he's out collecting, like harvesting, his wife and kid are attacked, or they notice that they're about to be attacked, so they hide the smaller baby girl inside this like little compartment. And as they're being attacked, we see the man that is attacking appears to be Sub-Zero. Now, this has been brought to my attention because I actually kind of forgot about this in Scorpion's Revenge. This is not how their backstory plays out. Sub-Zero in that version and in the lore is apparently it's like some other character, and I forget his name, even though I just was talking about it earlier. Unfortunately, I'm not too familiar with all the Mortal Kombat characters. Mainly, I recognize Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, one of the characters I always played as, by the way, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Jax, Sonya, all of them are in this movie. Anyway, so we see that this appears to be Sub-Zero, and for the sake of this review, I'll just refer to him as Sub-Zero, because I guess they're just going with it's Sub-Zero, for the sake of this movie anyway. So we see that his wife and kid are frozen in this version instead of bloody murdered in the animated movie, because that's what happens to them in that version. And Hanzo proceeds to see that he is being attacked as well, so he proceeds to grab his little weapon and proceeds to fight back. And he does pretty good. But against Sub-Zero, he's eventually taken down. And as he's like crawling back, nearly killed, Ghost of Tsushima style, he's like crawling back after being like stabbed by several times by Sub-Zero. He's like crawling back. Here is his child, but his body is like suddenly burned. And again, I feel like they do a lot more with him in Scorpion's Revenge, where he is the main character. But he is not the main character here. So he pretty much vanishes for the vast majority of this movie. Which I actually, since this movie has a different protagonist, I actually don't mind as much. But this is set up. So we follow what appears to be Raiden, who teleports in and finds the child. And teleports away, and we cut several years later. We're introduced to our main protagonist, Cole. We will learn later that he has some relation to Scorpion, so ancestor, like several lines down later. Cole Young is born. So Cole Young, in the beginning of the at this junction in the movie, is fighting in the MMA style kind of boxing, or mixed martial arts, I should say. And to set him up early, they have him lose. So here's the thing, I've seen some other reviews, people are a little mixed on Cole. They either find him kind of generic or kind of boring, kind of a surrogate character. I think he's fine. And again, I get what they're trying to do with this character. They're using him as sort of, again, the audience entryway, and I know that other people have already mentioned that in the original Mortal Kombat movie, that was I gotta check my notes. It's why am I having trouble remembering his name? Oh, Johnny Cage. Oh, geez. Thing is, Johnny Cage is not in this movie, and I'll explain why that is the case, because they're setting up a sequel, obviously, here. So Johnny Cage is not in this movie. He is not the sort of insert character into this world that, for us, in this movie, is Cole Young, which, again, I don't mind. I think I understand what they're trying to do here. I think the character is fine, again, as I mentioned. So, his arc, because he actually has a character arc, which is, again, why I don't mind his character. He loses at the beginning, so we actually understand that he needs to work at something. Again, this is something even the original Mortal Kombat did pretty well, is have the characters all have something to work towards, and Raiden makes that very apparent in the original version. Here as well, but not, I would say it's about the same-ish. But anyways, so he loses, and we see that Sub-Zero is serving for the Netherrealm, which is a bit different from what I understood of Sub-Zero. So again, they're doing something completely different for Sub-Zero in this adaptation. So as he's fighting, or after he's lost, he sees Jax, who is introduced, and Jax briefly mentions this mark that he has on his body, and we will learn more about this mark. So the mark has a bit of a different functionality in this. The Mortal Kombat symbol, they use it as a sort of mark that allows you to be in the tournament. Now, one thing this movie does a lot in this movie is keep mentioning, and I want to make sure I get this very early on in this review, is that they keep saying that this is not a tournament, and I'm fine with that. And a lot of people appear to have an issue with that, and I'm wondering, like, well, why? The movie is explicitly telling you that the tournament is coming up. I don't know why people are having an issue understanding basic dialogue. It's like, okay, so you're setting up that they're leading toward the tournament, and you're building up the rules, and it does, this functionality actually does a lot for the movie. I'm going to tell you that right now. So a lot of people I feel got this wrong, or who've complained about this aspect of it being a tournament. I just finished watching Angry Joe's review, and they mentioned how it's bad that it wasn't a tournament, and it's like, guys, listen to the dialogue. Listen to the dialogue. They keep saying the tournament is coming up. Pay attention to the movie you're watching, please. This is why I want to be as objective as possible. It's very important to me now. So, again, the tournament's being set up, as I mentioned, and as I was explaining before, the symbol, the dragon symbol, is already etched into Cole's body. Apparently Jax has one as well. Now, this also has, they actually do something really interesting with this as well. Apparently, the people who are chosen are destined, choose your destiny, right? Mortal Kombat, very in line, are chosen via destiny. However, if you beat someone with that mark, you obtain that mark. Choose your destiny. You choose to fight that person and say, no, that's mine. That is now my destiny. Again, sort of, I like when you take destiny and you say, I'm going to control that. It's something I'm going to fight for. Instead of destiny being predetermined. That's something I'm usually never a fan of. Or, I don't like that as much, I should say. Here, again, choosing your destiny fits in line with Mortal Kombat. Building up to the tournament, very important, as I'll keep mentioning throughout the review. So Jax sees the mark, and it begins to snow after they're, driving and talking. So Jax knows that Sub-Zero is getting ready to attack. He tells Cole to bring his family, his wife and his daughter. So he's a family man. And to drive off while Jax is gonna prevent him. So Sub-Zero attacks, and before they meet up again, Jax tells Cole about Sonya Blade. So, as Sub-Zero is tailing off, Jax is giving chase to pretty much be a distraction at this point. So the two of them proceed to fight Jax and Sub-Zero. And Sub-Zero subsequently rips up his arms. You see it in the trailer, freezes his arms and tears them off. Now, one thing I could say about this part is that I'm pretty surprised that Sub-Zero decided to just leave it there. He could have killed Jax right there, and I mean killed him. But he just sort of leaves. And I guess the argument could technically be made that he's more interested in Cole to the point of just leaving Jax there, kind of just without arms. So yeah, that's kind of what he does. Jax ends up elsewhere. I don't know how they kind of skipped that, how that all went down, because they sort of kind of cut away. So anyways, we cut to Cole leaving his family elsewhere, and he's like, make sure you guys stay here, I'm gonna go check on the Sonya Blade. He does. And Sonia, of course, gives him a little bit of guff, but after he shows the mark, she proceeds to tell him about the Mortal Kombat in the past. And again, she explicitly says the tournament is coming up, meaning that this movie is not the tournament, guys. Keep that in mind, please. Again, the dialogue says this like 5 times in the movie. This is not the tournament, it's fine. Anyway, so, as we are learning about that, we are cut away to our bad guys. We see Melina, talking with, Shang Tsung, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, about how they're trying to rid of the humans before the tournament begins. Again, before the tournament begins. So they are allowed to do this. It makes the villains more menacing in terms of movie presence. That's the point of this. And so we see that the mark, again, explaining how the mark passes. I explained that before. And we are introduced to Kano as well here in this point in the movie. So we all know Kano. Oh, if you know Mortal Kombat, you know that Kano is a bad guy, but he seems to be chilling with the good guys, and you see it in the trailer as well. So we all know he's going to make a turn. At least those who know the Mortal Kombat characters. For those of you who don't, well, again, this is gonna spoil stuff. So the 3 of them, while they are in this base, are attacked by Reptile, who was sent there. So Kano takes charge in fighting Reptile as soon as they are able to see them. And Kano proceeds to kill Reptile by reaching into his chest, ripping out his heart, and saying, "Kano wins." That's my best Kano impression. I apologize in advance. So anyways, so now we know that Kano's a bit of a badass in his own right. However, he's pretty easily tricked, I will say, as Sonia tricks Kano by selling a high price to bring them to Raiden's temple, which apparently he already knows the location to, and thusly they do so. So they, as they are traveling, Kano challenges Sonia to a fight. Sonia wins, and he's like, "Take the mark," but she's like, "Nah, not right now. I'm not really interested in that right now." And after their little tussle, they meet with Liu Kang, the main protagonist of the first movie. Now, in this version, he seems to be taking more of a mentor-like role, which I actually don't mind this turn for Liu Kang. I actually kind of appreciate it, like how it seems to be like he's been at this for a while. I actually kind of like that more, which is surprising, I know. It gives Liu Kang, again, I think his role as a mentor fits a lot better for his character. So anyways, Jax, as I mentioned, was brought here somehow, again. It doesn't explicitly, he was just kind of brought there after by Raiden, I guess. And as Raiden looks upon his heroes at this point, he says that they are totally not ready. So they need to prep up. So we have Liu Kang, who's in this mentor role, and again, Kung Lao, one of the characters I mained early on in Mortal Kombat, also helps. He's also helping in that mentor role as well. But their area is attacked, but Raiden stops them from Shang Tsung. And Shang Tsung makes his warning that he will be back as soon as he figures out how to get past this little barrier that Raiden has made. So Jax awakens with his new robot arms. I guess I just had robot arms in this temple, I don't know. And he proceeds to not be cool with having robo arms at this point in juncture. It's a really, you know, getting used to the whole having that sort of aesthetic to you, I guess. So as we move along, Cole is practicing with, as I mentioned, Kung Lao, and Liu Kang is practicing with Kano, and they're trying to find their, I forget the phrase they use, their spirit, or like letting their spirit out through their power. I forgot to write the term, so I didn't write it, and I didn't remember it, so anyway. Point being that Cole is now talking with Liu Kang about how to find that power, and Liu Kang actually talks about his backstory, which again, is nowhere in the original movie, from what I can remember. It's been a bit since I've seen the original Mortal Kombat, but I never remember Liu Kang ever talking about his past. So I actually really appreciate this part of the movie where Liu Kang is actually talking about how he obtained his power. Jax as well is beginning to train as well, so everyone's training up. This is the training section of the movie. Again, it's following a very simple story format, if you actually really think about it. Cole losing in the beginning, training section, win. Again, I talked about this, about how to be a better writer. It's a very long video. I highly recommend watching it if you are interested in learning how to structure a movie like this. This is structured really well. And again, I'm very surprised that people are saying that the pacing is bad. The pacing in this is excellent, I would argue. Again, it's very well structured. Cole losing at the beginning, setting up his character arc. Training section, middle. Ending section, win. Very simple. This movie's very simple. It's very well paced. In terms of its pacing. So there's a lot of training in this section, as it should be, because you're trying to show that your characters are getting better. This is character development through fighting. This is important stuff. I'm surprised that people don't like this part of the movie. It sets up. This is in the original Mortal Kombat. There is training Liu Kang did to get better. You know, he fought a wolf spirit guy. Oh god, I'm struggling to remember his name. Spirit Wolf? I don't know his name. I apologize. I'm blanking on his name. Point being that the original Mortal Kombat very heavily structured that as well, in terms of Liu Kang training in that movie. So I just want to make that direct comparison in case people are getting lost in the weaves of my review. So anyways, we're getting our training section. Let's see. And now we have, as they're sort of sitting together, they've trained a little bit. Kung Lao is now mocking Kano, because Kano, threw in that training section, it did a little bit of a callback to the video game when someone spams the early move, the low kick. They have Liu Kang do that to Kano in the movie, which I find really amusing, by the way. Again, very good callback to the video game. To the earlier video game, anyway. And Kano gets so mad that he unlocks his ability first, which is to shoot the laser through his eye. Because he's one of the characters, as I mentioned, who has the Mortal Kombat symbol currently. So, again, Cole is struggling, and Sonia checks in with him, and as Raiden is kind of teasing him to, like, because I think they're trying to imply that Raiden already knows what Cole needs to do, so he gets Cole to leave to get to his family, which leads to a fight that I think a lot of people forget about in the movie. maybe. Because again, they keep saying that Cole doesn't do a lot, but this is like Cole's biggest moment where he fights Goro. So anyway, so we also briefly see Cabal from the evil team, and he's a little bit of he apparently knows Kano. I don't know much about Cabal, so I apologize. I don't know much about that character. So anyways, as I mentioned, Garo also moves in. He's moving into Cole's near where the family was. And as that's happening, Cabal again knows Kano in this version. And they're talking, and Cabal's able to again have Kano switch sides, so now Kano's turning evil at this point in the movie. And Cole, in the meanwhile, is checking out on his situation. So we're cutting back and forth, and Kano switches off the power, which allows the bad guys to move in. Garo is going after Cole. So we're having a bit of fighting build-up here. We're building up Cole fighting Goro, and this is also where Cole unlocks his powers as well. So we also see that the others are getting their little one-on-one fights as well. So we're cutting between all these different fights that are starting to build up, right? Kano and Sonia now are finally getting their fight. These two have had a rival since way back when, and they're finally getting it out there. Kung Lao faces off against this harpy lady. I don't know what her character name is. I apologize. But Kung Lao gets his flawless victory. He even says it himself. Cole, while fighting Goro, gets his ability, which is like to resist basic pain. Like he gets this like body armor. I don't mind it. Again, it's fine. And Cole, as I mentioned, getting this power, is able to beat Garo and kills him. Again, I think a lot of people miss that part. So he does something more impressive than, or I would actually argue that his finish off Garo is more impressive than Johnny Cage doing it to Goro in the original, you know. Anyway, so as they're fighting along, Sonia gets like trapped after like doing at some point, and Jax embraces that he has these new arms, and that allows the arms to become more like buff. Like you see the transformation happening, because they're like these weak, scrawny, metallic arms, and these metal platings take over it. It looks really sleek, by the way. This is what I would argue what should have happened with Cyborg in the Justice League. They should have had that sleek armor look. Again, very akin, but, you know, it's another movie, so I'll drop it. Anyway. So, everyone's getting their victories. But, as they're fighting, Sub-Zero, is still on the loose. And Kung Lao, who is now separated from the majority of the group, is the one who gets killed in this movie, unfortunately. Again, the character that I mained. He's killed by Shang Tsung. He gets his soul sucked out. And they are barely able to get to him. So Cole, after seeing this, or, trying to figure out what to do, Raiden, teleports them away. So all the heroes are together, and they're in this little, different area. And Cole is the one who strategizes to set up this, mini little tournament, and he says to Raiden, hey, can you teleport us one-on-one on any location? And Raiden says, yeah. So, he does so. We have Melina, again, fighting. We have Jax fighting as well. He's fighting this big hammer dude. I don't remember his battle, but he wins that. Sonya, of course, gets her mark by beating Kano, finally. Liu Kang getting his fatality off on Cabal. He gets his dragon fatality. It looks really cool. Cole ends up fighting Melina and ends up struggling a little bit. Sonya comes in for the assist later on. Again, since this isn't the tournament, it's leading up to the tournament, they are allowed to team up and work together to do that. So, again, Sub-Zero is still out there, though. So Cole rushes out to his family, knowing that Sub-Zero is lurking about, so he goes into this area where Sub-Zero is, and Scorpion appears out of nowhere, and finally gets his battle against Sub-Zero. So Cole is joining his ancestor, Scorpion. They actually do fight together as well. They get moments alone, they get moments together, and they both take down Sub-Zero together, which is another thing the Angry Joe review got wrong. They said that Cole doesn't do anything. He helps Scorpion win the last battle. I don't know what they're talking about when they say that. And Scorpion does get the final move by burning Sub-Zero alive. And since Scorpion's little revenge mission is done, he burns and teleports away. And of course he gets his iconic line, "Come over here," and Shang Tsung, threatens, as things are dying down, his team has been eliminated. He says he'll bring an army next time, but Raiden has enough of him. He sends him away, and he says to his crew, "Alright, we need to recruit more warriors for Earth." And we see Cole getting sent. He quits the MMA lifestyle. He tells his little coach that he's going to Hollywood, and we see a poster for Johnny Cage setting up the sequel. And that was Mortal Kombat 2021. And I'm gonna say it, I think it's better than the original Mortal Kombat movie. That's right. I think it's better than the original Mortal Kombat movie. It's fantastically paced. Again, they kept it very, very simple. Cole losing at the beginning, training, final battles, who wins. That's it. That's very, very simple. They kept it really, really simple. There are elements that deal with other backstories that they kind of leave very loose, like the whole Scorpion and Sub-Zero plotline. I do think that they did a way better job of dealing with that whole thing in Scorpion's Revenge. Again, highly recommend. I believe I gave that movie an 8, 9, or a 10, where I would give this movie like a 6.5, and I would give the original Mortal Kombat like a 6. So this movie edges up the original Mortal Kombat by a 0.5 degree of separation. And again, I think the 0.5 separation comes from the rated R aspect, which I know is a bit minor when you're thinking in general, but I'm explicitly talking about when we're talking about Mortal Kombat. That is what we should have been expecting from the original Mortal Kombat from the very beginning. It's something we never got in the original. And again, the fighting sequences are all really solid. The storyline is really, really simple and simplistic and paced really, really well. The subplots actually is where the movie struggles a little bit more. Again, the whole thing with Scorpion and Sub-Zero is not well put together. That's like the biggest issue with the movie. So I hope they do more with it if they do get a sequel. Outside of that subplot, everything in this movie dealing with Cole and following his journey in this movie is so solid, so well done. Again, I'm really surprised that people again, from the reviews I've seen so far, didn't enjoy the middle part of the movie. Again, it's very in line with what you would expect in a movie like this. The training section, right? The character development, getting better. It happens in the original Mortal Kombat movie. I'm not sure why people are complaining about that part. It doesn't make any sense why they would. But that's me. That's me trying to be objective. Trying to say this lines up. And again, I feel like Cole's character is fine. As I mentioned in the beginning. He has family. So he has something to fight for. He has something to lose. So they do that. They give him enough. They have him take sort of charge at that final section. So he's a bit of a strategist, it appears at the end of the movie. So again, doing that, again, from following Cole's perspective, I think that was a really smart move as well. Again, the fighting at the end, very well done. Best part of the movie. But it's all built on, right? It's built on this journey that we're following Cole through, which again is really simplistic and really, really well paced. I cannot stress that enough. It is so well paced. I think the pacing in this movie is so much better than the original Mortal Kombat. Again, the only issue being the subplot between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Outside of that, pacing is so well done. So well done. I can't compliment it enough. So I hope we get to see Mortal Kombat 2, even though the original Mortal Kombat 2 is bad. I think if they follow this direction, and we learn more about the deal with Scorpion and Sub-Zero in that movie, continue to follow Cole if they're going to continue to follow his journey, and we can transfer that to Johnny Cage as well, have them do their clashing. I think that could be a nice enough setup. Do a little bit more with Liu Kang as well. He was a bit of a mentor here, but again, he's sort of a minor, since he's more of a mentor, his role isn't as big here. So we got a bit of his backstory here. Again, really well appreciated. So we can continue to follow those characters as well. In terms of villains, of course, we can, we have Shang Tsung, who's still out and about. We have that bigger guy. His name I'm gonna forget, unfortunately. But there's quite a few characters that we have not seen yet in this version of Mortal Kombat, and I'm sure they can do it justice in a Mortal Kombat 2. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, I would give this movie like a 6.5. There are still issues with this movie, obviously. In terms of like characters just sort of teleporting where they need to be, Sub-Zero's a big guilt of that. And I think what they were trying to do with Sub-Zero is have him be able to like track, quote unquote, either Cole through his mark or, either he's like, he knows how to track people who are related to Hanzo, or aka Scorpion in this case, that well. I don't know. So there's those little bits and pieces that are a little wonky. Again, I hope they do a lot more with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Since they are on the poster, I would figure they would have a bigger role, but surprisingly, again, they're the ones with the subplot in this movie. So yeah, there's that. So I hope they do get more in the second movie. And with that, again, 6.5. It's solid, but it has a few more issues than what I would give a 7 out of 10. And with that, I end my review. And if you ended up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are desperately needed, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.